Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. This is my It's Not a Christmas Tag video. I decided that I wanted to have a play with some acrylic inks, painting on fabric, just to see how they went. I had seen someone do it, which I'll talk about, and then thought, yeah, I've got inks, I'll have a go. So this is the end result of where I ended up. Well, it's not quite because I haven't stitched these on. You will see in the video where I get to, but I've decided now I cut some leaves. I've got some dyed lace. I cut the leaves out of these flower petals or leaf shapes, and they will be stitched in place, but I won't do any other embroidery on it, and just those little bits of stitching. So yeah, I hope you find the video interesting, but it is pretty much, it is using acrylic inks on fabric. Okie dokie, I hope you enjoy. Hi there, it's Dawn. I'm back for another video with a very different flavour. So when we went to the retreat in Ballarat that Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne organised, we got some Christmas panels, and this is one of them. There was a set of, that's a set of two. The other one has a bird design on it as well. I'm sorry, upside down, but anyway. And when we were at the retreat, there was a lady there that was a friend of Susanna's, who is an artist, and I feel ashamed to say that I can't remember her name, and I don't want to do her an in-service by saying something that's completely wrong, but Susanna might be able to help me out with that. But she had painted her panels prior to coming to the retreat, but in just sort of black and grey tones. I wanted to take it home. It was absolutely stunning. And since I've been home, I've really thought about the fact that I would really love to have a go at it and see if I can do one that will look nice, that I'll be happy to have. I thought originally that I might make these into placemats, and then decided that I couldn't trust anyone not to spill the beetroot juice or the gravy or the whatever. And so went, no, we're not having placemats, because I don't even know how I would wash them if once I painted and embellished them. But then I thought, oh, maybe I could just do a table centre, which is my plan for this. But prior to that, prior to having a go at it, I'm going to have a practice. And I've always been interested in Chinese painting. I have a beautiful set of Chinese brushes that I've used lots of times, and thought, no, I'm going to give it a go and just see. So that's the plan. Let's just see. You'll either see this video or you won't. I don't know. Anyway, I've covered everything up in plastic. Hopefully that will do. I'm just gonna move the camera, sorry. It was a bit far away, and with this I'd probably need to be a little bit closer. So I thought I'll have a practice on a tag, because this is my last tag that I haven't done. So yep, I did have a little play. I'm using, what I've started to use is an acrylic artist ink. This one just happens to be FW. It's by Dale Rowney, and it's in a Payne's grey, so it's not too black. But just in case I needed to do black, gosh, I nearly picked that up with the lid not screwed on and nearly had black ink everywhere. This is a Delusions one. It's a spray ink. It's called Black Marble, so it has a little bit of a little sparkle in it. how much it'll show up on the fabric, I don't really know. I've given it a good shake. Hopefully I'm ready. But I've also got just, this is a Tim Holtz Distress one. It's a black soot. I'm humming and hawing about using these sprays inks only because they tend to be reactivated with moisture, and if I needed to sponge it because something got on it, whether or not it goes on the table, I don't know. I'm just gonna see. But anyway, I'll have a little bit of a think about that. It definitely is, it's a dye, and whether or not it will after a while become more permanent, I'll definitely iron it. Ironing it also will help to quell, the watermark. This one, as you can see, it is bleeding, so I'm going to have to be careful. But I've also got another one that's white, and I thought if I needed to do some highlights in some of these little areas, white might look nice. I've also got some lace that I thought I would dye. It's got some nice branchy bits on it that I thought will add a nice add-on, excuse me, when I get to embellishing. All right, so my first plan with this is, so this is the ink in its pure form, but I think I'd like it to be a little bit paler. So I just got my bottle of water here, and thought that I would water it down. Oh, I don't know, I'm struggling with the whole what will I do, and I'm procrastinating while I'm talking to you. So, but I think I'm brave enough to have a go at it. It will, I'm just making that a little bit darker. The Chinese brushes are designed, the bristles have a well at this end of them, designed to hold a lot of ink so that when they're doing their calligraphy writing, it's a continual fluid movement. So I thought my plan is to start at the base of the flower and work my way out, and so that it's not very dark, is it? All right, let's have a, because as you can see, it will definitely bleed, and it might be one of those things that I just have to, I've got a paper towel right beside me as well, so that I can control how much there is going into the fabric. What I'm going to try and do is not go all the way to the edge. This really, you may not ever see this. I'm just going to see how it goes. So I hope this video finds you all doing really well. We all are here. It's we've had an amazing weekend of most beautiful weather, and it's freezing cold again today. I don't know what the weather's doing, to be quite honest. I will have to wonder if that water is dark enough. I'm just gonna keep adding some ink to it. Just sort of, I'm having another play here. I think there was too much water. So yeah, but I think once I hold, now I've probably got too much dye in it, too much ink in it. Might not be what everybody wants to do in the world. Yeah, see, the water has gone out there, but it may not be carrying a lot of colour. So I think we'll just see what it does. Yeah, doesn't seem to have a lot of, it doesn't have a lot of colour in it. You know, I can see that it's wet, but it's certainly not very blue. I'm going to have another little brush. This one's very wet. But I just want it to have a bit more definition. So I'm just going to add a little bit of colour here, and hopefully the water will just carry it in the right direction, not the wrong direction. Give it a push. It's like I'm dipping the very tip of the brush into the ink, so that there's not a lot of ink on the brush. And I've got my iron ready in case I just want to stop it from going any further. Now, I don't know if you can see here, it's bleeding out a bit and it's bleeding out there a bit. Might be right because it just might add a bit of like shadow depth, not necessarily make it look weird. All right, I'm going to go with two brushes here at the same time. The linen's soaking it up really quickly, really fast. Might not be up everybody's alley, this. It's just up mine. So I thought that I would come and share with you what I'm doing. It's getting there. Sort of kind of goes so far and then it does stop. So slowly but surely I may be able to get this to work. I quite like this Payne's grey. It's got a blue colour. My kitchen is mostly white, but it has, well, I thought it was black when we bought the house and it's actually blue. But, you know, the higher cupboard doors are the dark colour, and the, you know, the bottom is the white colour, and then the kitchen benches, you know, marble look, granite with white with these, you know, darker variation sort of, you know, stripy things, whatever you call them. veins. So having something like this will match if it's on my dining room table, which is kind of where my head was going with it. It's always good to have a reason to do something to start with, I think. For me it is. If I've got a reason, I can start to become a little bit more creative about it, because then I think, yeah, I know sort of where my head's going with it. I'm going to want it to be darker in places, but this is kind of that first layer that I think is what's needed. As I said, I'm just going slowly because, as you can see, just the mere tip of the brush touching the fabric and it grabs it straight up. I think the less you've got on the brush, because I really haven't dipped it back in, I'm still just using, because as I said, it's got this well, so it will have held quite a bit of fluid in there, and I think it's a little bit more controlled as it dries out a bit. Getting a bit braver now. That I shouldn't be too silly because, yeah, so I've got some paper towel under it to help mop up a bit of the excess. I can see it's going to peep out the top there. I probably just want that to bleed out a bit, not just sit there. This might be just something you want to watch, or you might go, she's got to be joking. I'm not even going to have a go at that because that's not anything that I want to have a go at. But because I do, I thought I'll video it and there might be somebody that might like it. All right, I'm getting there. And it's really, I mean, it's little, so it's not going to take forever to do. What I'm doing is putting the dark where the petals overlap, just to add a bit of shadow really. It's playing in a watercolour way. You know, while watercolours don't behave like this on watercolour paper, they do definitely will bleed and the colour will move wherever there's some fluid. This one needs a bit more dark here. I probably want that to come this way. Move that colour a bit if I can. Yeah, I mean, it's going into that highlight bit, but I should be able to paint over that, I think. Pull that colour a bit more. And maybe pull that colour a bit more. So this is the one that I dipped into the watered down, where this one is the dye neat. All right, that's kind of looking okay. It will definitely dry a bit paler. I'm going to have a go at a little bit of black. Oh, a little weeny bit of black. Got these little, you know, little, whatever you call them. Oh, have a little weeny bit of black, she says. Oh my gosh. And, you know, it's probably way more than I'll ever want. And I think for the black, I'm just going to use this little bamboo pen just because it will give me a little bit more control of it. And I'm adding the black in where the centre of the flower was, just so that it's quite a bit darker. And maybe these things here, how it'll behave because the fabric's wet, I don't know, but we'll just see. It almost went like a funny, it went a funny colour in there. It's obviously just the ink and what it's doing. All right, I'm going to give it a dry because I don't want it to go any further at this point, and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, I ironed it dry, and look, I'm really happy with the fact that it hardly bled at all. It's just such a small amount that I feel a bit more confident. But look at that side. Oh my God. That's like the best side. See here where there's no colour? That's, you know, kept that highlight. And I really like that wishy-washy. I'd have to really decide which side I wanted it to be on. Let's see what happens with the other one. Anyway, all right, let's keep working on it. I thought that I might add black to the leaves, you know, that Dilutions one, just for something different. And yep, it bleeds quite a bit. I've used the Chinese brush again. I might just paint half of it so that you can still see it, that it's a leaf. This is the one that's sort of what they call black marble. Yeah, that likes to bleed when it gets next to the edge. Can't get a really tight line there. Probably not great, is it? What do you think? I don't know that's great. I've washed out the bigger one and see whether or not it will let me move it. Move it over to here. I don't know. I'm muttering away to myself here. You know, can always cover it with something. Can always cover it. I've got a bit of that leaf that had a sparkle on it. So that might end up happening there. I think it's too dark. I probably needed to water it down too. Let's see if I can do that with. I've got water on the brush now. Filled the brush up with water and I've just added a little bit of colour. Start in the middle, work my way out. Half a leaf looked crazy. Kind of stops eventually. You know, I think it's just going to keep going and then it doesn't. It just kind of is okay. Alrighty, I just thought the black leaves was something, you know, different to the bluey colour because it's gone quite blue. Bluer than I thought it was going to go. It normally isn't, you don't see that blue tinge as much with Payne's Grey. But maybe it's the fabric that's making it do that. Well, you want to be brave and have a go at some watercolour on fabric. You could use normal watercolours. You could use the Inktense pencils in the same way, or the the Inktense blocks that I've used. In the past when I've done fabric painting, I just fancied having a go at this, just see what it did. And I quite like this one being a little bit darker, so I'm going to have a go at this one that says Black Soot, because it's on a it's on a tag. It's not going to ever be washed. I doubt whether it'll ever be washed, but I just thought we'd have it a bit blacker. I think that marble one is an unusual colour for, I don't know why. What makes it unusual, whether or not it'll sparkle when it dries, I don't know. But at the moment it's kind of a greyer black than black, which, I like. I'd rather it greyer black than black. But, that's just me. Oh, yeah, that one's... I'm going to hit it with the iron. I wonder if that board will cope. Don't know. I'll give it another bit of padding and I'm just going to stop it from bleeding any further. Actually, it goes, see that? It goes way paler when it's being dried. Yeah, I mean it bled out from that leaf, but it's not a horrible amount. It's just there. But as I said, you can use anything to paint them with. I just happen to fancy doing it with this. All right, well, what I thought I might do is add a little bit more detail. Let me see what I want to do here. What do I want to do? I think, like... Whoop. I think that's that Delusions one. I'm just going to try. I think the acrylic ink isn't as wet. It's, yeah, it doesn't do that whole bleed like the Delusions one did. All right, so there's a little lesson. Alrighty, I'm going to leave that there for a minute, and I'm going to get a bit of this lace and see what it does. Let's just see if it will. What it will do. Don't know what it'll do, but I might just have that bit there. I don't need all of that. This is some bridal lace that I got as a remnant. I'll stick that bit over there. Another bit of paper towel. It's got some red dots on it, but that's all right. Let's just see. It's got some little sparkles. I don't know whether you can see them. You might be able to. All right. Let me see what that does. Oh, that makes it wet. Makes it move a bit quicker. It's kind of just sticking to the embroidery bit, which is good, because I wondered whether it would go out into the, it's got a tulle. You can see that. It's embroidered on tulle, and I didn't know whether the tulle would end up. I think it just needs the water. I don't think, the blue water, I don't think it needs to be neat. We'll see what it looks like when it's dry and I'm ready to go with it. But I think the flower looks all right. Can you see it? It's there. I think it looks okay. As a practice, before I get cracking onto, it's a bit tricky. There's a sequin there and I can't get in underneath it. Yep, I did. Bit of perseverance. It's funny because it's not dyeing the bottom bit. I wonder if I dye it from the back, whether that'll help. Oh, that's like almost waterproof. That's weird. It's obviously a nylon thread that it's done with. Did that help? Oh yeah, a bit. So it doesn't take the dye like a cotton or a linen thread would, or a silk thread. It's whatever they use in the bobbin when they're doing the embroidery is obviously just a because it's like sitting on the top. It's quite odd. Oh, can you even see what I'm doing? Oh, barely. Gosh, sorry. I nearly forgot about you. Well, I didn't because I was talking to you, but I forgot that you couldn't see what I was doing. Yeah, well, that definitely made it, because you can see this one's not done, and it's definitely paler. I don't know what colour it'll be when it dries, whether it'll be that blue or grey, or it looks quite blue here, looks almost navy here, which is a bit more like the colour of my kitchen. So I think some black and some white might look nice together. Yeah, it's not going into the netting at all, which is strange. The netting is, yeah, it's not absorbing it, which I thought it might have. It was either going to be a complete and utter failure or work. You never know. Some things. I don't know whether I actually almost like it being a bit paler rather than too dark. Those ones are almost now too dark, aren't they? But, you know, sometimes having a bit of everything is good. All right, let's have another bit. Given that worked, I just got to find a bit that's not too big. This bit here looks like it's the right size. Can you see? No. See? That bit there. All right, I'll cut that off. And maybe I'll just keep it. You know, it's the afternoon, and I don't know if you can hear. That's my husband snoring. He's going to die if he knows that he could be heard, because he'd like to tell you that he wasn't snoring. He likes to tell you that he doesn't snore, and he does. All right, this side. All right, let's just have another go at that. I think that just like travelled. That was good. We might just keep this one a bit paler. I thought those lines bothered me, but I don't think they do anymore. Be interesting to see if people like this video. That will be very interesting. Oops, I nearly dipped it in the wrong one. Good. All right, well, I'm going to have a play with the embellishing. I just thought that I'd come and show you what I was doing with this acrylic ink as a form of colouring my fabrics and creating my own design on something. Yeah, this one is sort of like I'm getting lots of variation, which is probably a bit nicer than having it all just one colour. Yeah, so I wanted to have a play, and there goes my phone. So I'm coming back. Phone calls. I'm just been adding a bit of the white here. Neat. When I watered it down, you could almost not see it, so I thought there wasn't a lot of point in that. I still love the back. I just turned it over before and was like, oh, I really like the back. I think the back doesn't have the black lines, which, you know, is part of this design. You know, it doesn't have the drawn lines, so it just looks like a beautiful flower on that side and leaves. Very gorgeous. Well, that's right. That's given me a bit of an idea for another time, that without the lines, I can probably achieve, you know, if they were done in like a fade out pen, I know pretty much that I can achieve a reasonably successful result with acrylic inks on fabric. As I said, I have no idea about its longevity. I really don't think you're going to be able to wash it, but I'll do an experiment and see. Sometimes with these sorts of things, the longer you leave it, the more permanent they become. And you certainly can never get it off your clothes. So, you get a bit of this, acrylic paint on your clothes and that's the end of it. It stays there. As soon as you don't want it to wash off, it probably will. I'm just using a really fine brush for this, and I didn't want a whole well of it. And that might be another thing that I have to experiment. The Chinese brushes might just hold too much fluid, and well, they're gorgeous to use because they're a beautiful bristle brush. Yeah, they may just not work. I'm going to just have a go at adding a bit of highlight here. Maybe what I need to do is have a wet brush to make it move a bit. I just don't want it soaking wet. Just yeah, give it a little bit of a highlight there. This one's bled outside the line. I did try and iron it, but I don't think I was quick enough with it. I was thinking while I was doing that there's some I was sort of doing, these leafy shapes without, the borders, and thinking what they would look like. Let me think where I actually want them to be. I reckon they could go here. Whoop. I don't know, because I don't know. I could just disguise a bit of the bleeding. Sounds a bit weird. All right, and then just a bit of the neat colour. Let it bleed out to it. Sometimes I'm better not being restrained by lines. Yeah, I think that looks all right. I don't know about those white bits. I think they're too white. I think I'm going to have to add a bit of dirty water to them. Well, the bluish water anyway. And just take a bit of that white out. Just felt too white. I thought it was what I wanted to do. Right, so I'm still using that mix of, that's the black, so I'm still using this watery thing here. But I'm wondering if I just add a bit more ink to it so it's not so watery looking. Looks a bit more like blue water rather than yeah, just get rid of a bit of that white, I think. That was just too white. And it doesn't matter if it bleeds now because it's only going to bleed out into itself and it will probably still be actually okay. Yeah, I think that definitely needed toning down. It's gone much bluer than the Payne's Grey colour. Might be a bit of fiddling going on here. Sometimes the first coat isn't the last. Let's have a go with black. Yeah, sort of grey would have been better than pale blue. Now I'm just going to move the colour around with the wet brush. The white's coming back out. Must have been nearly dry. Often white, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's pencil or whatever it is, it goes opaque. It's really see-through. I just wanted a bit more depth here. I'm just adding a bit of the black one again. I thought I wasn't going to use the black one, but All right, you probably watched me do that for long enough. I'll keep playing with it and let you know how I go. All right, bye. I fiddled and fiddled and fiddled, and I did it off recording because I was struggling with how it looked. It didn't really feel like something that I would do, and I think my biggest problem with painting was painting in the lines. Within the lines, I just found that just didn't give me the look that I was comfortable with, and so I'm adding bits now. I've really gone sort of like outside those lines. Don't mind that they bleed now. I'm kind of trying to get rid of them, just so that it'll work together. So I just used a flatter brush rather than the Chinese ones. I think the Chinese ones is okay for some things, but not this. And then just decided to just do, something that felt a bit more like me. I think it's perfectly good for as a base pattern. When I might do it in a collage or an embroidery, but for me, for my painting style, it just wasn't working for me, and that's all right. I loved the back of it. I loved what it looked like on the back, and thought that's really, that's probably more the look that I would like. Is it Christmassy? No, it's not Christmassy in the slightest, but I don't care if that it's not Christmassy. It doesn't have to be a Christmas tag, this one. It can be an anything tag, really. I'm still just playing with a bit of the inks and the dyes on the palette here, just to get really the look. I liked this sort of blossomy look that I got down here, like Pussy Willow or something, and thought, I can have something similar looking that I feel a bit happier with, and that's all right. Not everybody has to have and do and like the same thing. Yeah, this is probably more me if I'm gonna do painting. If I'm gonna do other things, well, I'll stick to the patterns and things, but I'm probably happier with this. I'll really have to think about whether I tackle the placemat or the bigger picture in this way. I just don't know. Anyway, that's it. I will love and leave you here, and my next video about these tags will be lining them and doing the finishing touches. Okay, I hope you're having a great day. Bye for now.